Hello, welcome to Six Monkey Martial Arts. My name is Sifu Barber, and today we're going to go over Kung Fu forms and how to use them. Okay, so what is a Kung Fu form? A Kung Fu form is a series of techniques done in a specific order to train for a desired outcome. But a lot of the questions that I get here, since we teach traditional monkey Kung Fu, is why are forms important? How do we use them? And what exactly are we training? So in this video, we're going to kind of cover all of those things. So let's start off with the first form of Tai Ching. It's actually a form called Tai Tong, right? Tai Tong is an earth style form, right? Grand earth style. So Tai Tong starts off right after we finish our bow. We end up down here in this low position, right? Then we step out, Gua Choi, Gua Choi, Gua Choi, lowering ourselves with every single step. Simultaneously blocking and striking, hard style block followed by a hard style strike. So just taking those first three movements, what exactly are we learning? So we're learning a couple of things. We're learning how to block and strike at the same time, so it's blocking and countering. We're learning to sync our weight with every single strike, and we're also learning fluidity. So every monkey form has a specific mindset. Every monkey has its own mindset. But there's something you're trying to accomplish with each form. So the way that you train the form has to match that mindset. You can't really do a form without understanding what's the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish here. So in Tai Tong, we're using an earth mindset. What does an earth mindset mean? Earth mindset means that your strikes are powerful like earth, your movements are fluid like water, and your breath is like air. So next up, we're going to cover how to put those in an application and doing drills based off of that first three movements that we did. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so we talked about the earth mindset. Now, how does that apply to the form itself and to the drills? So we're just taking three movements here. There's 100 plus movements in the Tai Tong form, and all the monkey forms have 120 plus movements. So there's a lot of series that you can connect. You can interchange each strike and each block with different parts of the form to make different kinds of drills. Plus, there's the line drills that we teach from my Sifu. So let's talk about the power like earth. So power like earth. That means we're putting our full force, right? Internal and external force into this strike. So we're connecting the Dantian, right? Dantian is this what's called Sea of Qi, right below your belly button, two sun, two fingers width below your belly button, connecting that up through the shoulder into the index finger, right? So being mindful of that connection, but also kind of stomping into each strike. So if I'm stepping, Gua Choi, I'm putting my full step, my full body weight, my full power, every ounce of muscle that I have on me, I'm putting all that into this one strike, right? And that's going to be for every single strike throughout the form. So that's the earth part of it. The water part of it will be the fluid transfer from one part to the next, from one technique to the next. The way I like to teach my students about forms is it should look like one series of techniques, shouldn't have pauses in between, shouldn't look like you added this part, or it's this set of techniques then followed by this set of techniques. Everything should look like it's one fluid piece of martial art, right? Of one set of fluid techniques. So what does that mean? That would be stepping here. Yeah, that's power, but if I land too heavy on this here, it doesn't allow me to set up for my next strike or my next technique. So how do we fix that? Well, we fix it by already having in our mind here what is our next technique going to be, which is, in this case, it's going to be another Gua Choi, right? So here, Gua Choi, right? As soon as I'm finishing this technique, I'm already loading up that leg to go to the next side, right? That's how I stay fluid, putting it in my mind that it's all one technique, so that way there's no segments there. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm preempting, so I'm not just finishing landing here and just staying here. I'm already using this weight that I put into this leg to push off for my next strike. So that's another way that you can add fluidity to your forms, right? Or just to your drills in general, even if you don't do Kung Fu per se, even if it's just working the bag, right? You don't want to just end here. You want to, and then back out, right? Or, right, and then cut out. You don't want to be what my Sifu call feet stuck in mud. You want to be able to flow easily from one part to the next. Then the last part, which is kind of tricky, is called breath like air. Now this is just Tai Tong form. All the monkeys have different mindsets, from different fluid parts to fluid followed by powerful striking, or intentional or aggressive or whatever the intention is for the form. All the monkeys have different variations, which makes Taisheng really cool because there's 6 different monkeys. So breath light like air. Sorry, tongue twister there. What does that mean? It's keeping natural breathing, right? That's the first part of it. So tongue on palate. Tongue on palate does 2 things. 1, it actually opens up your airways a little bit. 2, it connects what's called your CV, right, conceptor vessel, and your GV, your governing vessel, connects them together through the point on the roof of your mouth, right? So connecting those together allows our chi flow to be unhindered or unbroken. So those are the main 2 parts of breath light like air. So now we put all 3 together. I mean, I'm kind of reserving my energy. I'm not expending everything out. Like you'll hear some martial art forms, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they'll, right? That's good, but you're expending a lot of energy, right, doing that. If you have to do, especially like Tai Tung has 100+ movements, if you have to do a form, it's going to wear you out very fast, right? You can condition it, right? You can do all these different things, that's for sure. But to make it last a long time and become more efficient at it is using your energy efficiently, using your breath efficiently. So not breathing out or forcing the breath out unless you absolutely have to, unless you're going for a really hard power strike. In general, just keeping that natural breath state is going to do you a lot better. It's kind of like running. You don't want to only breathe out or forcefully breathe out as you're running because you're going to exhaust yourself. So doing this allows us to conserve that energy. So if I'm here in my guard, right, I'm just doing that Tai Tung, three Tai Tung movements as a drill, right? Gua Choi, Gua Choi, Gua Choi, right? Just letting everything flow, let it flow out. Gua Choi, Boigim, right? And I can add to it. I can add different techniques building off of what that foundation was. So I can add more to it. I can go Choi Kun Gua Choi, Choi Kun Gua Choi, Choi Kun Gua Choi, right? I can do any technique I want to add on to that as long as I'm using that base foundation of that step Gua Choi with the sync. Now I can add to that and make it more creative. Okay, so that covers the mindset of the form. The last part about Kung Fu forms, right? So we went over the drill, we went over the mindset. The last part is adding to it. Adding to it means adding a weapon to it, or like a traditional prop or something like that. Okay, and that's what we're going to go into next. So we're going to go ahead and grab a staff, and then we're going to show you how to use Tai Tung, that same drill, in the staff-like form. Cool? Okay, so we went over the different strikes of Tai Tung and the mindset, and now we're going to be adding to it. So the reason why we add to it at the last part, at the end, is after you've kind of become familiar or very comfortable with the form, not quite mastered it, but you become at least very comfortable, because you want to work on building your inside and working to the outside, because like this is a staff, right? It's an extension of my body. It's not a part of my body, but it's an extension to my body. So how do we use this for the technique that we learned, the Gua Choi technique? Well, there's a couple different ways. So we have Gua Choi, which is this movement. So what matches that movement with a staff? Well, there's a couple. There's a downward strike, right? And I can step downward strike because I only have one staff, so I'm focusing on everything being through this one staff. It has to be an extension of my body. So if I'm here, step, 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 and I can add my flow to it, my staff spin to monkey strike, to thrust, right? I can build off of that base foundation, which the form taught me, because the form taught me step, sync with a Gua Choi strike, right? And again, I'm just making this, kind of oversimplifying this, but adding a staff to this adds a lot more variety to my training, for one, but 2, allows me to understand how my arm is actually moving, because now I have this long red pole with golden ends to show me, hey, this is how your arm is moving, right? So it lets me see flow a little bit better, because if I flow here, right, I could pop off the other side, I could pop back and strike, I can pop up, right, I can pop down, I can spin, I can do a lot of things based off of that one movement, but I always have to start with the base of understanding how this is an extension of my body. If I take this to a low monkey stance, I can do similar things, but not quite the same, because now I can't really drop my staff all the way through. So what do? If I want to train it in the low monkey stance, I'm going to come Gua Choi, right? And then I'm going to switch, right? We did the neck roll earlier, right? So I can come here, I can neck roll, grab, strike through, bring it back over, strike up, spin out, right? start tapping the feet. I have a lot of different techniques I can still do, but I have to understand my body awareness, right? That what they call proprioception, understanding where your body is in space. This is in addition to my body, so I have to understand where this is in space as well as my body. So that's how you add variety to your Kung Fu forms, and that's how you understand what they're actually teaching you. And it doesn't matter what martial art you do, whether it be Kung Fu, Taekwondo, karate, really anything. Even if you're just doing like Muay Thai, boxing, you can take a drill and add to it and have to understand what is the intention. What is this drill trying to teach you? A lot of the times we go through the motion of, oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing this because Sifu said do this, or Sensei said this, or Coach said this, or Master said this. But we need to understand why we're doing things. And you'll find that you advance a lot faster and you'll have a more better kind of like martial art IQ when it comes to the way that you move, how you move, and why are you moving in that, what's the purpose of that move. So there's a lot you can do with these. So try it out, leave us a comment below, and we'll see you next Sunday.